good evening, and again, welcome to this new installment of a cooking class. And today we are going to be prepared for Purim. Well, what's better than Hamantaschen, or in Hebrew, Oznei Haman. Oznei, the ears of Haman. Oznei Haman. So there are more recipes for Hamantaschen than to the tunes to the Adon Olam. There are many. We did a Hamantaschen since day one that we came here 22 years ago, and before that even in Israel, me and Adas, even before we got married, and a childhood with my mother. But the past, how many years, Adas, we do this, you do this Hamantaschen? At least 5, right?
This?
Yes.
Almost 20. This recipe? Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
And not to say that other recipes were tried. Adas tried many recipes. We always stick to this one because it's absolutely the best. Now, well, in Aramaic, there is a saying, Lefum tzara agra, as the effort, the reward. Or actually, tzara in Aramaic is agony. The more you agony over what you do and work hard, better result. So the same thing with this dough. The dough is more complex than regular dough that you do mainly for Hamantaschen or other cookies, but not by much. And it's definitely it works. So because the dough needs to rest and to get hardened in the refrigerator for 4 hours, because the butter, once you take it to room temperature, it becomes very soft and the dough gets very soft. We want to make it hard. So see, it's hard because it was outside in the refrigerator. So I'm going to use this dough to do the Hamantaschen, to show you how we do the Hamantaschen, what can you put inside the Hamantaschen, and so forth. Then we will put it in the oven for 15 minutes to 20 minutes, something like that. And at that time, I will teach those who didn't make this dough how to make the dough. And then once you make it, you can put it in the refrigerator and hold it for a few days, or I guess you can freeze it. So you can just make the dough and then make sure you wrap it very tightly so moisture doesn't get in. If you can put it in a freezer bag so it doesn't get any freezing burns, and then it can last for a long time and you can make it. And once you have this, then making the Hamantaschen is a lot of fun. If you have grandchildren, you can do it with them. If not, it's really fun. You can make so many shapes. So what do we do? First of all, we want to spread it out and to, what shall we call it?
Roll it. Roll.
Where is my cutter? The one that I used to cut.
It's here.
Here it is. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to cut maybe half. Yes. It's a device that I have. Simple device, but if I have it, I want to use it. And I'm going to take this. So you see how hard it is. It looks like a piece of kachkaval cheese or Parmesan cheese. But we want to break it down. So we're going to heat it a little bit. We don't even have to do that. I'll make even a circle, so it will be even better to open it, or a square, even better yet. And we start to open it. And actually, this is a very good activity, right, Adas? You're the sport person. I mean, maybe not a very good activity, but it is an activity, and you have to, and you use your muscles. Now, what you want to do also, forgive me that I didn't do it before, you want to put a little bit of flour so nothing sticks, even though nothing sticks, even though this is not a very sticky dough because it has enough flour, oil. So we open it like this a little bit, and now it will be even easier. We close it like that, and we want to work relatively fast. And we put it like this, and we start to open it. Now we want something like 3-4 millimeters thick, which is actually quite thin, and you'll see, and it's easy. This is not a stretchy dough like a pizza dough that it plays tricks on you and shrinks after you open it, and you have to do it again and again. This is a very easy dough to work with. See, we did a different dough with the same idea for one of the cookies that we did, right, Adas? We did the batzek parich.
Yeah, for the roll. Yeah.
So it's still thick. This is maybe almost 0.5 centimeter. So I'm opening it more. And this is a very actually stretchy. So you can really make it very thin. Usually I would say the thinner something is, the better it is, the tastier, the more crispy it is. But this dough is so delicious by itself that even if it's thick dough, this dough you can eat by itself. Now we want to make a circle. So you can take any cup like this. I'm using this espresso because I like espresso shot glass because this is the approximately what I want, and I would say maybe 10 centimeters, which is roughly maybe 3 inches, 3.5 or 4, and I'm making circles like this. 1, 2. This is wasteful. That's better, and we try to aim it. Well, actually, nothing is wasteful because we are going to use the reminder and do it again, recycle. But I can have more of these now. See, it's very, very easy and fun. A nice activity. You see, like this, I'm making them. I didn't want to make them ahead of time, but it doesn't take too long. We don't need to make so many, and I think this is fun. So we have that. We put this on the side, and we can peel the rest. See? Very nice. Take it like this, and then we are left only with the circles. Now, you may notice that it does a little shrink, a little bit it does shrink, but not by much. And because it's a very stretchy, you can open it as you go when you feel it. Okay, so these are nice. These are enough for now. Maybe we'll do more later. And if I want to use it again, I'm going to put it already in the refrigerator if I decide maybe to do some more for demonstration, but I do want it to keep it as cold as possible all the time. And also, we want to make sure when we put it in the refrigerator that we seal it really nice with the saran wrap because we don't want it to dry out. There is really not a lot of moisture in this dough and we don't want it to dry. Part of the secrets of this dough that is very juicy, soft, and succulent. That's the word, not juicy, succulent. Wait, so now what do we do with this? You see, it's like a coin. It's not sticky at all. It's like, no. Now, the traditional way to fill Hamantaschen or things like this is with a spoon. The problem with the spoon, it's a little bit messy and it's tough to get it with the other spoon and cannot be precise. So actually this is our daughter idea, Libby. She used a piping bag, but maybe not everyone has a piping bag at home. So we decided to use just a Ziploc. What do you put inside the Oznei Haman? The limit is your imagination, and I'll show you later. But traditionally, people either use a poppy seed because it goes originally to the poppy seed, Hamantaschen, and actually you can buy a poppy seed from Solo, a real regular for filling. If you want to make it yourself, please contact me. I'll tell you and give you a recipe. But you can buy the poppy seed by yourself. It will taste much better than this. And you can make it. The process is with you almost boil milk and with butter and sugar and the poppy seed, and you heat cool and you add an egg yolk, and there you have a better tasting fresh poppy seed. But this is definitely acceptable. So we want to fill some with poppy seed. Somebody rang now the doorbell. That happens unless there is a post office one every 10 years. I have to see.
No, the kids order
pizza. The kids order pizza. Now I understand. Who ring the bell? In Israel, people don't even ring the bell. They get in. They just come in. Puppy. So you see, I have the poppy seed here. And I'm going to take a scissor. And I'm going to cut it maybe something like that. Whoopa, that's it. Now, I'm going to concentrate everything to the corner. And I can spritz it right in the middle. Here, you can see. I do something like this, and that's it. I do another one, and that's it. Quick and easy. Okay? There you go. That's the poppy seed. Let's make another poppy seed because it's so traditional. And the second one will be the, what is it? Raspberry. So that's the raspberry. And we put the raspberry inside like that. Oh, we try not to have what I had here. This is a mess. I'm going to feel it on my fingers and my hands, but that's what happens when you work fast. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to close it first.
You can use a tissue.
No, I'll wash it. I'll wash it off because it's already sealed. Okay, so I washed everything off, and now I can work. Again, this is already sealed. Okay. Again.
You want to dry?
Yeah. I want to dry. Dry it in this. That's fine. And then I'm going to cut another one like this here. See? Like that. And then I'm going to kvetch the whole thing to the side. Like this. Okay, and it's going to come very nicely on the other end. This is a little bit bigger hole, but it works also. Try to be in the center. That's it. Another one. Now you can obviously make bigger ones. And I would suggest first time, maybe you want to do a little bit bigger than this, but it's up to you. Okay, these are the raspberry ones. And the one that most people like from our experience is actually a Nutella filling. And the Nutella filling is a winner. So again, I've seen it so many times that like people order cold cuts from the deli, and then they get turkey and corned beef and tongue and roast beef, and they get the turkey because it's healthier. But guess what? Most people don't touch it because at the end they want to eat the good stuff. So this is the good stuff. And this works very well for baking. It doesn't burn, and it keeps its shape, and it's the most delicious in a Hamantaschen. So actually, when we do Hamantaschen, and Adas makes it, of course, then we only do with the Hamantaschen, right, Adas?
With the Nutella, yeah.
Yeah, Nutella. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to do this. So I'm going to come from the side. It's a little bit awkward, but it will come out. Only that I made, here it is. It's going to come out. You have to help it out a little bit. I mean, okay, so I'm coming like this, and I'm putting it here. Whoop, that's it. See, and you want to be generous, but like everything in life, not too generous. This is a little bit too much, but it will still work. And again, it's a little messy. If I use the piping bag, it would be much cleaner look. But I wanted to show you that you can do it even with a Ziploc, like that. And we have another one, so we don't waste. Exactly the last one. Now, I don't think the end of the world will happen if you mix this with the jam. That's what you have left. But okay, that's a little bit not enough, but it's fine. And I'm going to wash my hands a little bit from the chocolate, and we want to make the shape. Now, these are filled all the way very much. So you want to create a triangle here, like that, all the way to the middle of the filling, like that. And then you fill it up from here and kvetch it on the sides, kvetch it together like this. When you sometimes see those Hamantaschen that are open too much or completely broken on one end, it's because this was not completely closed and pinched, which is okay. Now, some prefer to make a surprise and not to show what is inside and close it all together completely, but we want to let people know what's inside. So we make them. These are very thin. These are very far from the traditional one that you buy at ShopRite because they are thinner and smaller. And because it's smaller, you have more ratio of the filling. You see, and I'm kvetching it. If I will not, I will see it later. And you see, this is like small. It even has a tear. Don't worry, just close it. Stick it together. It really doesn't have to be that precise because at the end, everything gets wet. You see, like that. Once again, we take this one, we put it like this. See, it opens. You feel like it's too much, but it's not. You come, you pull it a little bit, and you close it like that. Yeah, that's it. And let's do quickly those. And again, this is, I filled it very much, but as I fill it, as I close it, I stretch it a little bit. So it closes. Here, another one, you see it's a little bit thick here because it shrank a little. This is a little bit thicker than, even if you do it this thick, it will be delicious. But I think it's too thick. I open it a little bit with my finger to make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit. And now I'm pulling it like this, again, closing it like that. And like that. And there you have it. This one is also closed. Now at the end, if we'll see those that were open, then those that I didn't close well enough. This is the poppy seed. Once again, close it like this. And we make a spitz, a corner in Hebrew. And this is another one. Meantime, anyone has a question regarding this process? Anybody that has a question regarding this Hamantaschen, please, we can talk about it as I do it.
No questions yet.
No questions. I remember my teachers from school that she was always happy that there were no questions, but she didn't realize that people didn't really listen in the school, so they didn't have question. But you're looking and you are watching, you see? So now we close this one. You see this one, I screwed it up a little bit. Look what happened. This one was drifting to the side. What can I do with this one? I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to close it like this and make a sambusa. Like that. That's fine. That will work too. This will be very good too. It will not look like a Hamantaschen, but if we want to eat it, it's delicious. And if we have a little bit on the outside, it doesn't matter. Tasty, it will be exactly like the rest, if not better, because you will not have the corners without chocolate. This one has all the chocolate. This one is also, I put a lot, but I'm going to close it. I am, at least attempt. So I'm closing it like this. See?
Cantor, we have a question.
Even though how full it is, look how full it is. It's very, very full. Yes? What is the question?
Do you have a recipe for chocolate filling?
I can give you a chocolate filling, even though, as I said, nothing beats the Nutella. There is no way you can make at home a chocolate filling as good as the Nutella. And the reason is you really cannot use real chocolate, because a real quality chocolate, because chocolate doesn't like that much of a heat of 350 degrees. And you can use chocolate chip cookies, and some people even use a Hershey, right? Hershey Kisses of us?
Yeah.
You can put in a Hershey Kiss. You can make your own chocolate filling from cocoa powder and sugar and butter, but it will not be the same. You will not have the consistency of a Nutella. I have to be honest, that's the reality.
Another question, when you make these, do you make the dough using a mixer or by hand?
We will get to that right after this. And the after this is here. Now, before we put it in, I told you that not always you have to do only a Hamantaschen, you can do other stuff. So for example, today, I decided to do something new. And actually it was very successful, very, very nice. So I took a little bit of the dough, like, you know, I don't have an extra circle, extra round, but what I did, okay, so I'm going to do the circle by hand. That's it, that's the circle. And what I did, you see, this is like all of these. What I did, I don't know if you know the Ferrero Rocher. This Ferrero Rocher is a ganache. No, actually there is a nut inside. What's the name of
Hazelnut.
it? Hazelnut. And it's surrounded by something like a Nutella actually. And then it's covered with chocolate and nuts on the outside. Ooh, that's nuts. So actually you can put it in and close it. And you have not a Hamantaschen, it would look like a round muffin, but the inside is heaven. But not quite, because it may be, I made it and it was a little bit dry. So my second try was, I just put inside a little bit Nutella. I'll use this spoon, doesn't matter. I use Nutella in the inside. I spread it up a little bit. I know it doesn't look nice, but it doesn't matter how it looks. You can imagine how it tastes. So I'm putting this, and again, as I said to you, this dough doesn't need even a filling. It's so tasty and friendly. So I do this, and then I'm putting the Ferrero Rocher inside like that, and then I'm closing it. So to close it, I'm going to take it in my hand. It's a little bit sticky, and it doesn't look well, but it will be fine. I'm doing this, you see? I'm closing it all around, coming like that, and closing it like this. Whoop! Ha. So the dough was too thin. And this, I remember I had an aunt who taught me things that are filled, dough that is filled with things, usually meat. And I remember I had the hole and I said, oh, that's nothing. What you do, you take another piece of dough and you just make a patch. Where is it? You see? That's a patch. And that's it. And you put it like that. And this ball looked very innocent, but you saw what is inside. You have a hazelnut covered with ganache, covered with chocolate, and hazelnuts crushed, and it's lined underneath with Nutella. That's very good. Okay, so this is the poppy seed one, and this is the jelly, and this is the Nutella, and another jelly. I have to make sure to close them, otherwise they will open. And those that are open actually taste like those that are closed, but I cannot give away those that are open, which I'm not sure is a bad thing. You can eat them. Okay, so you see they are nice and small. This already opened a little bit, even without being in the oven. So I know that it's prone for problems. And again, you can use prunes, you can use dates, you can fill it with anything you like. I will not suggest anchovies, but anything sweet goes. You saw I put a Ferrero Rocher. You want to put Hershey Kiss inside? Fine. You want to put the Nutella and the Hershey Kiss? Yeah, experiment. That's what I did. I did experiment and it worked well with a correction. Okay, so there it is. We have those. And even this sambusak one, actually, I wonder how it will go. I mean, how bad can it be? It's the same thing, different shape. And I put it like this. That's it. And this thing goes to an oven that is preheated to 350. And before I put it in, I'm just taking a quick look to see that everything is closed well. Because if not, this is a good excuse for it to open. Let's see. Yeah. Thank you, Adas. Okay, and we throw it in. We said, let's put a timer for 15 minutes and see what happens. There you go.
Ah, yeah, you have to take out the.
The other one?
Yeah, there's a tray from before. It's not supposed to be. Yeah.
Tray. So timer, 15 minutes and counting. Very good. And now for the dough. As I said before, this is Not the easiest though, but definitely not the most difficult. This is nothing like a thousand leaf or puff pastry or phyllo dough. Very simple, relatively, but you have to follow the rules. So we are going to use a mixer, but you can do it by hand. It's a little bit trickier, but you can.
Cantor, when you put the Hamantaschen in the oven, should they be on parchment paper or just on the pan?
No, I always use the parchment paper because you don't want it to stick. Not that I think that it will stick that much. Again, this is any cookie from this type contains approximately 30% by volume, by weight of fat, or in this case, butter. But you always prefer to use baking sheet. So the thing that is important about this dough preparation is the order of the things. So first of all, we want to start with 4 tablespoons of oil. We have 2 tablespoons. Okay, so we're going to use the big one. And first of all, I'm going to put the 2 tablespoons of oil. Okay, this is heavy. 1, and if you put a little bit more, a little bit less, nothing happens. This part doesn't have to be that precise, to say the least. Well, now we use oil and we use butter, approximately the same calorie value, but we use oil and butter because the oil is much it's liquid and room temperature butter not. So it makes the Hamantaschen more succulent using oil and butter. You cannot use only oil. Make it more succulent.
Just a minute. He used a tablespoon that has 2 tablespoons because
yes.
They said that the recipe called for 4.
Right.
It's a big tablespoon. It's
right.
What he used.
Good. Now we put the 1 3/4 of sticks of butter. So the recipe calls for 200 grams, but we are going to convert it to those sticks, which is actually the same. So I'm going to put 2 3/4 and we put them in like that, throw them, and this is the other one.
Cantor, can I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely.
This is Bob. Cantor, I watched the Hamantaschen. How long do you bake it for?
I would say 15 to 20 minutes plus minus.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we add this like that. And we have the oil, we have the butter, and we are going to start mixing this thing together. That's the sugar. We can add now, we can mix it with the dough too, but we want to add the sugar. So we want 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, may God help me, I think that it's possible that on the recipe that we sent last week, we missed the sugar. So
Cantor, is it 4 tablespoons or 4 teaspoons of oil?
4
4
tablespoons.
tablespoons.
Okay, thank you.
And this is 3/4 of a cup. That's a 1/4 cup. I need 3/4.
Yes.
So 1,
3 times.
2, and 3. And we let it do its thing. I will start with 2. As this thing goes and gets softened, I'm going to add the butter, the eggs. Okay, see how it looks. It starts slowly to mix together. And we're going to add the eggs. But before I do that, I want to show you something nice because I'm a person. So I want to show you gadget because gadget is also one thing. So if you see this nice guy, this guy is, I bought it I think from Israel 22 years ago. And this is used to separate the eggs. So what you do, we don't need to separate the eggs. I'm just showing you the gadget. So what you do, actually it's quite disgusting, but I like it. Kids love it. So what you do this, and then you put it and it comes out of his nose. Wait, there is more. Wait, let's put another egg. Look at that. See? So cute. Very cute. Okay, but we don't need to separate those. So we can put the whole thing. So I'm going to add it slowly. It becomes separated because and we add the egg slowly. So it's not a big deal. There is an order of things, and if you follow the order, everything is fine. Maybe a little bit quicker for that. Show them that's how it looks. You see how it looks? That doesn't look very appetizing, but the end result is great. So in the meantime, we prepared here 4 cups and a half of sugar with 2.5 teaspoons of the baking powder.
I think it's 3.
3 teaspoons. That's a tablespoon. So that's a tablespoon.
Yeah.
Teaspoon, we said this, no?
Teaspoon?
Teaspoon.
Oh, okay.
Where is the teaspoon?
You want to?
That's a teaspoon. Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be that precise. While we have this, we have the flour that we mix with 2.5 tablespoons of the baking powder. Double check the recipe, but I think this is what it is. Okay, it says on the recipe, okay. And you can use it. So what we want to do now, we want to add slowly the orange juice. Now, we didn't have orange, we used clementines. It's perfectly fine. You can buy orange juice, you can use clementine, but there is some magic about this orange. By the way, this is a trick that I learned from my sister long ago. When you have oranges in the house, grate them before you eat them. Take all the grit from the outside of the orange, then you can freeze it. Whenever you cook something that is sweet, always you can add a little bit of this grated orange. It's always fresh. What is that? Zest. Okay, so now we want to do it slowly. Okay, so I'm going to use this. So I'm putting a little bit of flour. Better if you sift it. You see, I'm adding a little bit of flour, a little bit of juice. You see, like that. Let it do its thing a little bit. Then I did add a little bit more. We add this, and we add this. See? Continue to do its thing. We add a little bit more. Maybe. Okay, I still have oranges. I still have dough, flour. And we put this. And we put this.
Cantor, what did you put in after the eggs?
After the eggs,
was it vanilla?
When the eggs are mixed, when the eggs are already mixed with the other wet ingredients, which means there should be the oil and the butter.
No, it almost looked like vanilla or something darker that you put in there.
Vanilla extract.
Yes.
Oh, it's vanilla?
Vanilla extract. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't put, I know it looks like soy sauce. Don't put soy sauce.
No. How much?
A teaspoon of vanilla extract.
How much vanilla did you put in?
Now, I will see how it looks, but I may need to add a little bit more liquid because it feels like I have too much flour.
No, it's fine.
Wait.
It's fine.
See? So now we let it do its thing. Let it work a little bit. Okay.
Cantor, how much vanilla did you put in?
1 teaspoon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we do that. Now, for those of you, if you made already the dough prior, check the recipe. I looked at it very quickly before we started to make sure that it's the same as what we know, and I think that there was no sugar mentioned there. If the sugar is not mentioned there and you didn't start the process, put it back in the mixer, let it rest until it gets to room temperature, then add the sugar. If not, you can taste it, or put more sugar powder at the end. It may be good enough. Fine. Yes, 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 yes. And how do we know that it's yes? I will show you. I'll take this thing out. Okay, let's see. So let's look at that dough, examine it, and see what happens. We want to clean the mess a little bit here.
No, leave it, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. So you see, it doesn't look that nice, but it's going to stick together very nicely, and hold its shape. It's supposed to be soft and very friendly, like very, 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 almost like a cloud. Look how easy, unlike regular pizza dough that has a lot of stretch in it because of the gluten and because there is no fat in it almost. This one with the mix of the butter and the orange juice is incredible. People say cookie, you eat cookie dough all the time. I'm not one of those that is afraid to taste raw the dough. Perfectly fine to me. Perfect. Good. So in this, now we'll go to the refrigerator covered with some saran wrap. So I'm going to bring the saran wrap a little bit. Okay. And I put it like this, I cover it, and I keep it because you see how soft it is? We don't want it that soft when we make the Hamantaschen. And I guarantee that anybody that will eat your Hamantaschen will say that it's the best that they have ever had. Okay, very soft, very nice. So we have done some times until we can check with these. They're not ready at all. So a few words about Purim maybe. So we eat Hamantaschen. I'll tell you this. When I came to this country and I heard Hamantaschen, I've never heard this expression in my life. And the reason is, in Israel, Hamantaschen is probably a term that is used only by the ultra-Orthodox or Mea Shearim, those who speak only Yiddish. Any Israeli calls it Oznei Haman. And I remember it when I was a child, it didn't make sense. Haman was a very bad man. We sing it in nursery school. One there was an evil little man, and Haman was his name. So you take an evil man, you make a sweet cookie out of him. It didn't make sense. And as I grew older, I understood where it happened. Yeah, it started from the Hamantaschen, but it didn't start in Hamantaschen. It started as Mantash, which means a pocket of poppy seed. And that pocket of poppy seed was this cookie. And somebody probably made a joke, Hamantaschen, and it became Hamantaschen. And as nothing, it can be also a bagsman, but usually people refer to it of a packet of a poppy seed. So because of that, we eat the Hamantaschen, which is the most popular dish in Israel, and people fill it with everything.
Turn off the timer. It will be.
Yeah, 48 seconds.
Okay.
I remember Purim in Israel is very different than here because people prepare for it away at a time, and costumes was a very big deal, at least when I was growing up. But you didn't have too many options. It could be Esther, well, Mordechai, and usually Haman would be only for those who like to do the opposite of everybody else. But they couldn't find Haman. So usually a Haman would be a pirate costume. And usually Haman would have an eye patch to make it look even worse. And the head, because it looks like this, it really looks like a Haman. The next most popular costume we usually liked is a cowboy. For some reason in Israel, all the kids like to be cowboys with two guns and a sheriff star. They were very happy about it. Let's see. Not yet. A little bit more. A little bit more.
So 10%.
10
Will be.
Yeah.
Or
Let's do
cook
2
like
minutes.
5 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Let's do 3 minutes. Kitchen timer, 3 minutes. So remember we said 15, maybe. Let's make 18 and see what happens. So why we celebrate Purim, you all know. You all know the story, but you also know that it's not from the Bible. Actually, they're very, very difficult, if at all, to find any records anywhere. But we believe, and we have our records, that we celebrated Purim even during the Second Holy Temple. It was a big thing even then. Purim happens in the middle of the Hebrew month. Most holidays at the middle of the month, because you could see it's very easy to know because the moon is full. The real story was that on the 13th of Adar, the day that all the Jews were supposed to kill, everything was reversed, and the Jews went and killed 500 in the town of Shushan and another 75,000 around the city, around the country, around the land. And Esther asked for an extension for another day, and on that day, on the 14th of Adar, the 10 children of the Haman were hanged, and then they rested on the 15th and the 14th. Almost anywhere in the world, Purim is celebrated on the 14th of the month of Adar, except on cities that have a wall around them. And I would say not have, had at least. And the reason is, only those cities that were surrounded by walls at the time when Yoshua bin Nun, who conquered Israel, only those from that time are considered to be towns that are surrounded with a wall. So obviously, without a question, Jerusalem. So I remember I was growing in Jerusalem, that Tel Aviv and the rest of the places would do it on the 14th. We in Jerusalem would do it on the 15th. Some religious people like to do it on the 13th and the 15th. And it is debatable about the other towns in Israel that used to have walls around them, but not all the way from the beginning, from Yoshua bin Nun. Let's see what happens, even though we have another minute. Yeah. I forgot something very important to do. An option. When I made the dough, you remember the ingredient, the flour and the everything. You can make another type of dough by taking 2 tablespoons of cocoa, high quality cocoa. And a person that does a lot of chocolate, you should know, this is a great cocoa powder. Hershey cocoa, special dark. You take 2 tablespoons of this cocoa butter. Ideally, you want to sift it. If not, just break the big ones, and then mix it with the same process with the flour. So this way, you'll have actually a cocoa chocolate flavor dough. I know that some people mix sesame in it. Some people mix poppy seed, just poppy seed into the, not on top, in the. I think it's ready.
Cantor, we have a question. Is it possible
Yes.
to overmix the dough when you use your hands?
This is not the type of the dough that you will really overmix too much. Anything you can overmix. The only problem that it can be too soft if you work with it too much with warm hands. But as long as you follow the rule of how to mix it, slowly, and the right order, and it become homogeneous, that's fine. You can definitely use either a hand mixer, or you can use your hands. Let's see what happens. Okay, yeah. Really, best way to look is to look from the bottom. Yeah. These are ready. And you see, none of them opened. This one almost made it free.
Beautiful.
But it didn't came out. And this one that looks very innocent, it looks just like a cookie, but this thing is filled with Nutella. And this is the best, I'm telling you, best dough. Now what we want to do, we want to add the sugar powder. The sugar powder adds some festivity to the whole thing by look and by flavor. It doesn't have that much sweetness. Dairy. So we take a little bit of sugar powder like this. Let's see, and you do this. And if you don't have it, you can do it with your hand. Now, if you see, it's a little bit not completely white. That's because I used the cocoa before, cocoa powder. I sifted the cocoa powder. But you see how nice they look? Okay, even this guy. Yeah.
This one.
This one, you're right, Adas. You're the control.
Yeah.
Check.
And the one.
Oh, poor guy. So sad. Almost no more sugar powder for him. Okay, so this is it. So here you have all the dough. They are very soft when they come out of the oven, obviously, but they're going to dry out. The fact that it's soft out of the oven means that it's going to be, again, succulent. One of the things that I really don't like about things that are made from dough, cookies and stuff, if you have to swallow it, it's a little bit choky. This one, especially if you make the dough thin, is like you really feel the flavor. Now, let's see what we have inside on this one. So I'm going to take my filet knife. It's in the already. Okay, so we'll take a different knife. Okay, so I'm going to open this. In the middle. This one is with the Ferrero Rocher. Yeah, I broke it. But it's inside, and you can imagine, this is what's going to happen when you eat it. You see the hazelnut inside? The whole thing is with chocolate. Very good. The whole thing is chocolate inside. This one also, this is the one with the pocket. See, you have the chocolate inside, and you have the dough outside. And this, you know what the Hamantaschen looks like. As I said, you can make the dough and freeze it. And it lasts for a long time, I think. Not the Hamantaschen. These are going to go very fast after you make it. Now we're ready for any questions.
Hey, Cantor, I have a question here. When you use the special dark chocolate in the dough, how much do you add?
Come again. What was the question?
When you add the special dark chocolate to the dough, how much do you add?
Not dark chocolate, I said. I said not dark chocolate. I said cocoa powder.
Yeah, the special.
So
yeah, how much of that do you add?
To this amount, I would use 2 tablespoons. Between a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, I would use 2 tablespoons. And if I use 2 tablespoons, I would add maybe another 1 tablespoon of sugar because cocoa is very bitter. So you have a lot of sweet stuff in it. You have the sugar, you have the orange juice, and you have the filling that usually is very sweet. So I would add 2 tablespoons of sugar for the 2 tablespoons of cocoa if I'm adding the cocoa, just to make sure that it's not we lose a lot of the sweetness. That this, I think, that's you think for sure, this is the perfect sweetness. So if we add cocoa powder, add a little bit more sugar, 2 tablespoons. You cannot really make it destroy the Oznei Haman, the Hamantaschen, if you put more sugar or less.
Another question, can you freeze the Hamantaschen after they're cooked?
I would say yes, but ideally you want to take as much air out of the bag so you don't have ice in it from the condensation, and I would use a freezer bag. Yeah, why not? This is no different than the other cook. If you like any cookie, you can freeze, I think, of this type. This one too.
As for a clarification, back on the oil, it was 4 tablespoons, correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
4 tablespoons of oil. Yeah, right. With the 1 3/4 sticks of butter, we mix this together, and once it's homogeneous, then we add the eggs slowly. We don't need to beat them ahead of time. We just add an egg, wait a few seconds, add another egg, not to overwhelm. What I'm saying is you don't want to overwhelm everything there. Add slowly. You added the 2 eggs. After you added the 2 eggs, you add the flour. But remember, we use 4.5 cups of flour with 2.5 teaspoons, debatable, maybe 3.
4.25.
4.25, sorry. 4.25 cups of flour and 2.5 tablespoons or 3, debatable, depending what the recipe that is we gave you. We mix this together, and this is the part that you pay attention a little bit. And even if you didn't do it, I don't think that you'll screw it up. It may be the whole thing a myth, and maybe if you put everything together and you mix all these ingredients together, you'll get exactly the same dough. We never took the risk, but I think that it may be the same. So, but if you want to go safe, add a little bit flour, tiny bit of juice, a little bit more flour, more juice. And then once everything is combined, it's fine. And don't forget the 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And if you forgot the teaspoon of vanilla extract, so what?
And how long should the dough be refrigerated?
The dough, I would say 4 hours is a good time to make it. You will see that it becomes harder. Once it becomes harder, then it's good. You don't want it soft when you start working it, because then it will be a little bit messy. I mean, it will not break apart, but when you pick it, you saw when I picked it how soft it was. And you better refrigerate it. And even if it's soft, again, and if you make a hole, if you tried it and you see that there is a hole, like happened to me, I was very happy that it happened, because it's very easy to fix. You just make a patch. That's it. And don't give it to anyone.
Cantor,
you want to keep your good reputation. Yeah.
Cantor, the recipe in the candlestick, I might have missed this, says 4 teaspoons of vegetable oil, but it's 4 tablespoons, you said?
Tablespoon.
Yeah.
Sorry, 4 tablespoons.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this, if you put 4 teaspoons, it may be as delicious. It may have a little bit less fat, and you may be happier. So these things, you do need the baking powder. Yes, you do need the baking powder. You do need to have a dough that you will not finish up a dough and you see that it's hard and like this, then something is wrong. But if you feel that the dough came approximately like the one that I made, and again, the dough, right when it looked inside the bowl, didn't look nice. It looked all over the place. When I took it out, everything became friendly. Everything congregated together and loved each other and became one.
Great. I'm glad it all turned out well in the end.
If you look at the recipe, is the sugar mentioned there? Rob, it does?
How much baking powder? The question.
Yeah.
I read it too fast.
So you're not
Adas,
going to
you
chop
want?
my head?
No.
No.
Yeah. You want to add something, Adas?
No.
Of course.
No.
Another question, how much baking powder?
2.5 teaspoons or 3. Adas said 3. I remember 2.5, but whatever it's on the recipe, because Adas did follow what she used all the time.
Cantor sugar, it says 3/4 cup.
Yeah,
Good.
that's what we want.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can mix the sugar again with the flour together and the baking powder and the whole thing, but I would say put it before with the eggs and the butter.
Can I use powdered sugar?
No, whenever something says regular sugar, use regular sugar, because especially when you use by volume, cocoa sugar powder, I think holds much more per volume than regular grains of sugar.
It also cleans the butter better than regular sugar.
Okay.
Experts don't.
Yeah.
Now you know for sure. Don't use powder sugar. But you do need the powder sugar for the end, just to put it on top to make it look nice.
Right.
Okay, so the baking powder is 2.5 tablespoons or 2.5 teaspoons?
What's in the recipe, Robert?
Hold on.
Yeah, I think we
Thanks for
should.
clarification.
Yeah,
It says teaspoons.
2.5
Okay.
teaspoons or 3.
2.5 teaspoons.
Okay.
2.5.
Mhm.
Okay, so
2.5
and again,
teaspoons.
and I'll tell you
Teaspoons.
this. You're right, but
2.5 teaspoons.
2.5. But I'm telling you, if you put 3 teaspoons, it will be different. Yes, it may have a little bit of aftertaste from the maybe a little bit too much powdered sugar, baking powder, but it's really not a big deal. You follow what I said. You saw that I didn't really measure everything that precisely. Everything is good. It will come. One thing that I would say, when you measure the flour, don't condense it into the cup. Try to make it as fluffy as possible. Don't pack it. So pick it up lightly, make it like cups, but not not dense cup. And,
I
and
have
then,
Cantor, I have a
Yes?
question. On Hadassah's recommendation, I bought some cans of Solo filling.
Yeah, that's what we use.
that's what we use. So
Well-
those solo fillings are delicious.
They're
Yeah,
better
no,
than the
I bought
regular
apricot and strawberry and poppy seed, but I'm not going to use them all. You think I could freeze that?
I would not freeze it up. You can put it in the refrigerator for a very long time. This is such a sweet item
Yeah.
that if you put it in a tight container in the darkness, in the temperature of the refrigerator, this will hold very, very long time. This is
I'll have to just
very,
keep
very
taking
sweet.
Hamantaschen until I use it all up.
Yes, and Hadass said, what did you say about the gel? So they know not to use something else? The jam.
No, that's better than the jam. The jam sometimes escape from the Hamantaschen.
Very
So-
sneaky. The jam is very
Yeah,
sneaky. Always find a way to get out of
So
the.
this feeling is better.
Yes,
like
it's better.
natural. Yeah.
Exactly. But imagine you can use anything. Look, I just stuck a Ferrero Rocher. You know what I also did? Hold it the camera. Let me show them this. So what we did before also, we took one of those Bueno. Switch the camera. So we took one of these. This is a Bueno. It's a wafer that is covered with chocolate, and we just stuck it. We made the little one that is bigger. I forgot to make this one, and it came into. I'll bring it.
Okay.
So this was just an exercise that we made. We tried. So we made a Hamantaschen, but we kept it open like this. We kept a wider opening. And after it came out, this was very hot, we just stick one of those cube inside. So when one will give a bite into this thing, this person will have the wafer in it. So more texture, more flavors. You can do whatever. And this is not a very nice one, but we did only one. I guess if we did 3, 4, 5, the rest will look better and better. So, but no matter what you do, if you put a little, if you are nervous, don't put a lot of fillings. But this dough is delicious as it is, very, very good.